Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Are we still in the dip of the dip of the dip? Well, let's discuss it right now with me today. If you haven't already subscribed, drop a comment below and hit the bell for all the latest news in cryptocurrency. Now, the past couple of weeks have been extremely frustrating. It has been very sad, and it seems like the bears have been tearing at our throats for quite some time, meaning the dip of the dip of the dip, right? Everybody's telling you buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, is that over? Well, let's go over it right now. Looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's sitting at around 43,767, much better than sitting at 39K, right? So where we were sitting at about 41, right? We were kind of sitting right there, 41, 40, and pretty bad, right? So sitting here in the low 40s is very sad for Bitcoin. You hear me always talking about the moving day averages, and well, this is where it's actually showing you why that's such an important thing. A lot of people don't like going by it, but for the most part, volume is kind of picking back up, which is a good point to be trading in. You don't want to trade into a low volume market. It is very volatile. It is not stable when there is a lot of low volume, but the price is going up. So the fact that the price is just kind of moving along with the volume is a really good sign. Now, when we're looking at the moving day averages and the MACD, now it's just proof. It's showing you how it's kind of moving. Now, if you're trying to look at this like what's it going to do tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But what it does tell you is where it's going to go within the next week, or at least for the next few days, as long as we're following the pattern. It's a pattern marker. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, the MACD is just showing this. Well, that's not the case. It's showing you the pattern where it's going to go. And where we're sitting right now, it looks like the Bitcoin pattern is going to move up. As you can see, it's starting to cross from underneath, right? So this moving day averages is starting to pick up, and it looks really, really nice. Potentially, we can get back to around 45,000 here in the next couple of days, at least a minimum. I would expect at least to hit 45, probably within the next week. I would definitely be keeping an eye on that. If we're looking, of course, for Bitcoin at the weekly is kind of well, let's say we were looking at the previous week's not so great, right? But this week is actually closed off pretty good. At January 10th, right? It closed pretty good. It's showing that it's starting to pick back up. It's a good sign, and that's where we want to be. Now, so it's showing with everything kind of moving around in the same, at least just healthy kind of way. But we want to see where it's going to move just a little bit forward. Ethereum is also kind of bouncing back too. It's kind of coming into it. We can see that the moving averages are getting closer. Now, what we don't want to see with Ethereum, of course, is more selling going on and it crossing in the moving day average. But it does have a very high amount right here of selling power. And that's not what we want. This right here makes me a little bit nervous. But if we can kind of move into the next couple of days and actually get some buyer power coming in here, it will show a good sign. And that's where we can see. Now, you can see we have the head and shoulders here back like in November, which kind of signified this dip, if you will, and where it kind of retested support coming in. But that isn't something that's like totally great, but it's what we have, right? So as it's coming in, it looks like it's going to pick back up as well. I would expect it to really kind of mimic Bitcoin a little bit, but today is sitting around 3,365 bucks, right? 22, and it's showing some good movements as well coming in. Speaking about Matic, though, Matic's done really good considering it's bouncing back pretty strong. And that's where we want to see too. And I think it's going to continue to go up as well. As we can see, even with moving the averages, that selling power is really dropping. And that's where we want to see. But for speaking about like yesterday, the day before, a lot of buying happened. A lot of people are buying in a Matic, and it's only going to get stronger too, especially with Uniswap and Uniswap as well is going to pick up. And so they're kind of feeding off each other. And Ethereum, I think these three coins are really something to keep an eye out for because Ethereum's going to go up, Matic's going to go up, but I know that Vitalik Buterin, he had stated before that Ethereum does kind of lacking some support, some technological support right now, but I believe it's going to move up a little bit further too. Looking at AVAX is another one of those coins that I think it can do pretty well. Now it's kind of coming up the same thing, kind of mimicking in, but it's that really weird volatility that's kind of happening over the last couple of weeks as far as volume goes, which kind of makes me a little bit nervous for AVAX. But right now it's sitting at $94, which is a lot better than sitting, like at 80, where we were really worried. Because we were kind of worried that this was going to be the moment. If it fell below here, it's going to be this huge panic going on. And that's not something that we truly want. If it fell below this point, then and it just kind of just started falling, then I think it would be really just a grapple, just kind of like salvage what you have left. Let's take a look at the market altogether. So Bitcoin is up by 1.36% for the 24-hour period. Weekly is up by 1.80, much better than what we've seen when the bears were really tearing at us. Ethereum is up for the 24-hour at 1.92, down by almost half a percent. Solana is actually doing okay at plus 5.81 for the daily and up by 2% for the 7 daily. Cardano is still hanging out at $1.28 at 3% for the 24-hour period and 6% for the weekly as well. XRP is doing a little bit better for the weekly at 4.85%. We have Polkadot up by 3 for the weekly and 2.11. AVAX is up by 2.18% for the weekly as well. And Doge is doing pretty good at 9.92 for the 24-hour period and 9.42. If we're looking at Matic, this is what I'm saying for the weekly, up by 13%. 13.70% for the weekly and by 0.92, so another one of those coins. Protocol is actually killing it for the weekly at 17.73. The Near Protocol at 1.5 for the 24-hour period, so much, much better. Uniswap's still struggling it out. It's still moving not as great as we'd like, but hey, we spoke about Phantom 2 not too long ago. It's actually doing really great still, right? Like what we call it as well. So 9.25% and 4.89% as well. Tron's up a little bit for the daily as well, and Decentraland is up by 6.57, and Axie Infinity is still struggling out as well. And that is about it as far as anything above the top 40. Now, guys, thank you for joining me. Subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell, get your latest news in cryptocurrency, and hold on, the dip's just finishing up.